All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Committee of the Whole. It's Tuesday, January 20th at 6:30 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer is excused. Lawson.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Relke.
Here.
Rostad.
Here.
I acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
All right, I will look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So move. Second.
All right, a first by Alder Rostad, a second by Alder Meyer. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any public comment? All right, new business, discussion of City of Columbus Mayor merit pay policy. Kendra?
How far would you like me to lean, Susan? So this is the merit pay policy that Corinna, Matt, and I worked on, and it goes through pretty in detail, like how we would make this policy work, along with KPIs that people would have to meet, SMART goals, and all of that kind of fun stuff, right? So for this year, though, for 2026, obviously we didn't have this plan in place. So for this year, we decided to do an average of people's scores. So we score 1, 2, 3 for doesn't meet standards, meets standards, and exceeds standards. People would have to have a 2.5 or higher average in order to be qualified for the merit pay program this year. And then the department head would write up a thing to Matt to be like, hey, this is why I want them to have a merit increase. So it's pretty lengthy. So I hope everyone got a chance to kind of read through it a bit, but yeah.
Alder Meyer? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I'll just add and highlight that obviously everything comes to council in terms of any decisions. Department heads will work with me to make recommendations, but essentially everything would come to council review. In past situations that I've been involved in this kind of program, that was always a closed session discussion to provide direction, and that isn't aired publicly.
All right, Alder Meyer.
I personally do not like the 2.5 and above gets a merit increase. I think we should be looking at moving completely to merit, whether that they get 1% or they get 5% based upon performance. So the 8.3, the merit metrics, or matrix, sorry, the exceeds, I don't like seeing two different numbers or two different categories between the below the midpoint and above midpoint. I would like to see that all of those personally align across the board. Just because somebody's been here, right? I'll use Amy Jo or Chief Weiner, for example. They've both been here for a long time. Both, if they're both over the midpoint and they both absolutely crush their goals that are given to them out of the water, they shouldn't be losing a percentage point because of how long they've been here and what they're currently making. My 2 cents is we make that straight across the board. Doesn't matter where you're at in the pay range. And then just going back to, I feel super strong on this. Matt hears about it all the time. I am against a needed rating, right? Everybody should be off of merit. And I would like to see this change to reflect that.
And just to explain or clarify, the 2.5 is for this year only because we didn't have the KPIs and the SMART goals built into this year's evaluation process. Realize that we're in the in the next month, we're going to go through evaluations for 2025. So what we're talking about is that the 2.5 or higher would only be in place for these 2025 evaluations. And that when we move to the 2026 evaluations, it would be based off of an employee meeting or exceeding their SMART goals. So it's just to have an interim measure so that we have some criteria for bringing forward merit increases in this first year, knowing that in the future, it's all going to be tied to the SMART goals.
So The 2.5, I just want to make sure I'm hearing this right. The 2.5 is only correlated to last year's merit evaluations.
Correct.
Okay.
And then moving forward, everything would be based off of the chart in 8.3. And what I'm hearing is you'd like to see that one chart as opposed to different criteria for those below or above the midpoint, which I understand. And I mean, I don't think there's any staff opposition to that if that's the council's direction they want to go.
I agree. And then the last thing I had was the does not meet. I mean, I don't think we can just say no increase if we're going to a true merit-based system unless there's active disciplinary action, PIPs, et cetera. I think we need to at least put something in there and then have some type of guideline stating that if there's not an active PIP or disciplinary within the last X amount of time, they're still eligible, right? Somebody could have really screwed up in January, February, and March, had been on a PIP, had discipline, really turned it around later in the year, but we shouldn't tell them, oh, you met expectations all year. You didn't meet it for the first quarter of the year. No increase for does not.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So this is completely separate from COLA, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
even if you don't meet COLA, is still COLA, whatever we determine there, right? Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Again, like I've been saying since I came on here, right? COLA is not a merit increase. COLA is a cost of living to adjust to what prices in the market is doing. A merit increase is used to further yourself and your wage based on performance. So, I mean, I guess we as a body need to make a decision whether we're going to look at merit or if we're going to continue to hand out a COLA every single year regardless, right? So if it's 2.5%, somebody gets a 3%, they're getting 5.5%. I'm okay with that if they deserve it. What I'm not okay with is not giving somebody, right?
I guess I just have a clarifying question myself, maybe because my head is foggy because I'm sick, but if somebody does not meet expectations, I guess I'm not understanding why you want them to still get a raise for merit, because to me, that's opposite of merit.
The reason being is because I'd like to completely move away from the cost of living, personally, right? The cost of living is going to change. Using this, I mean, this literally replicates 90% of what I use every year to give merit increases where I'm employed.
So you incentivize people that don't do a good job?
No, there's one missing category. What I'm saying is if they start out the year awful and they've turned their life, whatever, they come to work and they're really hammering it away, you can't just forgive the first quarter of the year and tell them, oh, you met expectations all year. And you need to truly rate them as, hey, you didn't meet it for the entire year. This is your raise. These are the steps you need to take to get to that meets for the next year, and this is what your potential raise would be next year, right? I personally, I don't like saying no increase, because that, if somebody screws up once or twice, right? Even if it's a big screw up at DPW, right? People make mistakes. Are they gonna learn from it and move forward? Just because they make one mistake that's huge and they don't lose their job doesn't mean they shouldn't get an increase at the end of the year.
Question for Matt or Kendra. How are you guys doing? So if this is based on SMART goals, and if somebody, I mean, I guess it's pretty cut and dry. They can flake off the first half of the year, get their SMART goal done in the second half of the year, and then they still get a good rating. Like,
Depending on their supervisor's evaluation of that, right? If them not doing their job well or to the expected level in the first half is excusable, I mean, that's ultimately the manager's decision
Right.
to make, right? My concern here is that if, hearing what Marcus said, if we're going to look at everyone being eligible for a percent, you know, your people that maybe aren't going above and beyond are going to qualify for a 1 to 2%. I'm just picking numbers, right? And that there's tiers. If everyone is going to get a percentage, we are going to have to allocate more funding to the pool of money, because I never intended that 45,000 was going to be a merit pool for everyone in the city getting an increase.
Right.
It was really to recognize our strong performers
Exceeds.
and correct.
Typically, I mean, where I've even been, typically meets expectations, doesn't really necessarily even get you a merit increase. Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. So I guess that's my question. I have no problem against COLA increases, but I'm wondering if the meets expectations simply is COLA and we wouldn't have that other word existing. Because I think we do need just a base increase for people annually to, keep up with the regular expenses. I get a little financially concerned thinking of, 4% plus 2%, 6% raises that are going to be expected. I just would like to see some probable numbers simulated for the likelihood of many of the employees exceeding expectations and what that would do to the budget if things went up, 6% in the pay.
The policy states that we're limited by the amount of funding. And so that when I bring recommendations forward, that is going to have to meet the availability of funds, and that we are going to have to make some decisions based on manager's recommendation, that there may be years where we've got more applicants and we've got to kind of spread the wealth based on the number of people that qualified for the program.
And that was the initial thought behind just allocating a certain budget dollar amount to the merit program for the people that are exceeding, and then still having the COLA for other people that maybe aren't hitting those goals yet.
It would be within the council's ability to add funding in a given year from contingency, but that would have to be obviously council's discretion to do that.
Thank you. I just want to be very careful in what kind of expectations we're
Yep.
putting out there, because this sounds like it's a given, just the way I'm reading it.
Alder Lawson?
So I'm definitely in favor of having a merit policy in addition to COLA. And I think the meets does not meet thing. I mean, if you're trying to compensate someone for the same job one year versus the next year, I mean, that COLA keeps them at the same compensation, right? And the merit to me is definitely for those people that exceed, maybe meets, but definitely exceed. Because of the limitations in funding, I'm wondering if there's a way that matrix could reflect, maybe exceeds is 1 share and meets is a half a share, does not meet is 0, and then somehow you do a calculation based upon the pot, whatever's available, and divvy it out that way.
Alder Rostad?
Yeah, I guess I would raise a question when you say there's not enough money or possibly not enough money, and we dictate 1.5 to 2.5% or 1 to 2%. What if the bare minimum is 1.5, but we expunge the fund that we set aside? Are we setting a precedence at that point? Because at that point, we'd have to add more money out of contingency. But let's say we have a great group of people or employees that are at the 1.5, or the equation is the max we can give is 1.5, and we're going to be at 0 left in the budget. Are we setting ourselves up by
And
by
maybe-
laying numbers out there like a percents?
Maybe that's where there's value in what Mr. Lawson was saying in regards to shares of, then it's however many qualify, then it gets divided by the amount
Right.
of funding available.
But I think we also have a due diligence too, though, right? Like, I think it's a huge retention tool. The merit raise is a retention tool in my eye.
And,
Yes.
and like every policy, these are living, breathing documents that we're gonna learn as we go through, and I wouldn't guess that 2 years from now, we're operating under the same policy that we start with, right? It's going to evolve as we learn and implement the policy.
Alder Rolke?
I completely agree with Alder Lawson. I think that you can't do away entirely with the cost of living because then living costs increase and people who are not meeting the metric, it's not fair to not give them anything. Then they're working for less income than they worked for the year before. So I think you have to stick with that, but it does make a lot of sense to me to say this is what the pool of money that we have available for merit increases is for the year 2026. And then I love the document. I love the merit matrix. I think that the KPIs are great. I think we just need to tweak how we're talking about dividing it up among those who would qualify as exceeding expectations.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. Assuming we still have cost of living increases, which I would like to have, I don't think I would even have a meets or does not meet category. It would simply be exceeds. This is a reward for quality work and hard work and dedication. I don't see a reason to have the meets. That would be where COLA comes in.
Alder Meyer?
I didn't mean to just come in and just stomp all over your document, I promise you. This is what I do at work. But what I am going to say is meets, you still have to give some type of reward if you're going to go to a merit program, even if you're going to keep COLA. Because if you don't, then they're just going to do half the job at times, right? I'm okay with keeping away from if we're keeping COLA. I'm against keeping COLA. But if it's this body's decision to keep COLA, then does not definitely needs to stay at a no increase. But the other two definitely need to have some type of reward because at least they're coming to work, they're getting their work done. Doesn't mean that they're going above and beyond, but those who are going to get that extra reward. And then I guess I would like to see a number of, the way I've always seen this done is you take a percentage of your total payroll. And then whether that's what the cost of living is, which that's usually what's used is that number. So 2.6% for this year. For those who would be truly eligible for merit, what would that be? Just what would the budget at 2.6% of the people that you guys would think right now would be eligible for merit for this last year? What would that dollar value be to truly give us a budgetary number for future?
When we went into starting this program, what was the problem that we were trying to solve?
We want to be, from my perspective, we want to be able to reward those employees who are doing a great job.
By that, does it mean doing their job or does it mean doing a great job? Because I think that's the biggest discussion I'm hearing up here right now, council. I'm hearing many thinking that merit pay should only be for exceeds, and then there's the other side of things too. So I'm trying to figure out what problem we're trying to solve to see how we decide from there. Because when Alder Meyer, you said that if we don't give them a raise that meets expectations, they're gonna do half the job. Well, then they don't meet expectations. Then they do not meet expectations, and then they should be given a PIP. So, what I have seen, and I've been in both the private and public sector, is unless you're exceeds, you don't get a merit increase because, you're expected to do your job, but you want to incentivize people to go above and beyond. Otherwise, if you don't go above and beyond, you're happy with your pay that you applied for the job to be hired on to get. So that's how it's always been interpreted that I've been aware of. So I think that's what I'm trying to understand. Are we trying to give an avenue for people that just do their jobs, and I shouldn't say just do their jobs, because it's good that you do your job, but if you're just meeting expectations, you're not going above and beyond at all. So is the intent for the merit pay to help with those employees, or just the ones that stand out?
To me, there's two conversations. Our newer staff that are likely below the midpoint, how do we retain them and keep them? And so if they're meeting, and this is, it's hard, because I've been in this environment in another place, that's what it was, right? It was those below the midpoint meeting or exceeding, and those above the midpoint that were exceeding were those that were recognized with merit. And I know the intent was the young, or the newer staff, newer people in their role, how do you retain those employees? Because, you know, if you're being recognized as doing a good job and being increased compensation for it, you're more likely to stay. And then your longtime employees that are going above and beyond, you're recognizing that quality work.
Yeah. So let's say I started this year and we're creating my goals. Would you only give me the opportunity to meet, or even though I'm a new employee, you would still find ways that I could exceed?
Find ways that you could exceed.
Okay. Aldermeyer.
I mean, I think Ryan said it, or Alder Rust had said it great. This isn't just a recruitment tool or a retention tool. This is also a recruitment tool, right? If you know you're going to go work in a municipality where they're going to reward you, right, for meeting expectations and exceeding expectations, you're going to come and at least get your job done. For one. For two, I would lay money on somebody who meets expectations every day of the week across the board, because I know they're going to come to work. They're not a problem, and they're doing what they have to do their job fully. Those are the people we should be rewarding, right? Because it's about 3%, and then you got the rest of the people in the middle. So you're going to alienate 3% of your workforce, 3% of your workforce, and the rest isn't going to get a raise, other than COLA. My opinion, I mean, I would lay money on people who meet and exceed every day of the week, because those are the ones that we want here, because the person that leaves, who we would consider as a meets expectation employee, to go to a different city, there's that chance that you're going to get one or two every time to apply that will not meet. So what we can do to retain the people that we think meet our expectations and exceed our expectations is exactly what we should be doing.
But everybody has the ability to do better. I guess I'm really confused. As a supervisor, one of my jobs and my role is coaching and mentoring my staff. And if somebody comes to me and they're like, I don't want to do better, I just want to come to work every single day, I don't want you to coach me, I don't want you to mentor me, then I'm not going to put in my effort to make you better, because that's not what you want. But you can't expect to make more money then. Like, I guess I'm really confused at where we are with being okay with giving somebody a raise for, when we still have COLA, they'll still get a cost of living, giving somebody a raise for just doing their job. Like, if we are, this is my argument, if we are going to try to excel the city, to pay better, get better people, why do we want to fill our staff with meets expectations if, because we're going to be paying better, exceeds expectation people will be waiting for a job to open up? Alder Rolke.
I see your point, and I can also see Matt's point on this, and I guess my solution, if I was designing this all myself, would be to say there is one level for exceeding expectations, and that should be obviously the highest level. So you're looking at maybe a 4% for whether you're below midpoint or at or above midpoint. But then where you're at on midpoint determines like how much you could have access to as a meets, but I would not see it being more than like 1% above the cost of living, regardless of your point in the meeting, the midpoint scale.
And just to be clear, I'm not opposed to, if the council is open to Marcus's suggestion of eliminating the below or above midpoint, I'm fine with that direction. If you want to go to like one, like you were stating, Amy.
Anybody else have any other inputs? I mean, we kind of need to give direction to staff on if we're gonna do raises for more than just exceeds. Alder Lawson.
If you eliminate the below and above midpoint thing, I guess I don't really have an opinion on that, but for someone that's actually at the high end, but still exceeds, is there a way to write something in the policy that would give them like a lump sum bonus as opposed to an increase in their salary? So it's not, a recurring payout.
There's something in here about the lump sums, right?
Yeah, the first thing under note says above midpoint, favor lump sum. But would we really want to do that for everyone just because they're above midpoint? I don't know about that.
I don't disagree.
It's tough because you have people that are going to be in that meets category that, they did their job every day, like Marcus was saying, and you want to incentivize them. And maybe they had that one project where they really helped out, and you want to somehow reward them. Is there a way to put in here, like for those people, you do a lump sum payout as opposed to a recurring percentage increase? Like maybe there's just a little more flexibility as opposed to outlining exactly how it's gonna play out.
Alder Rostad?
The eligibility, what's the point, what's the reasoning behind the 6 months of service before the evaluation cutoff date?
Probationary period for new employees. It's 6-month probationary before you become a full-time employee or a permanent employee.
Do we want to change that just to probationary employee? Because theoretically, you can extend their probation, so now they're on month 7, they're eligible for a raise.
They would be on a performative
Oh,
plan
yeah.
then. Because if you're extending your probationary period, you are definitely on a development plan.
And I would echo Lawson's last point. He brings up a valid question and a way to reward.
Yeah, I like that flexibility to reward somebody that meets expectations, that like steps up for one specific item that may not be a SMART goal. I like that better than just giving them a raise across the board, because then you'll still get the solid people to step up when you need them to step up, but then if they want to just do their job every other day, then they just get the regular pay. Matt, Kendra, what questions do you have, need more clarification on? I still think we're kind of all over the place, but I want to check in with you guys first. Oh, Alder Reed.
Oh,
Sorry,
no,
I
thank
didn't see you turn that on.
Yeah, I was just looking at the part in the next section under the optional add-on spot awards. And just gave an example for a lump sum, between $250 and $750. Yeah, I would definitely like to look into that more. Not at this time, but just to see how that could be combined with the merit plan. Just because I really like to have something that isn't permanent as an option for the big projects that come up.
I guess the direction I'm looking for is next council meeting, do you want me to come back with budgetary numbers and a new chart and like basically redo that whole thing, just so I know what I need to allocate my time to in the next week?
And I think the question I have is, are you wanting one criteria for exceeds, one criteria for meets, and not have it tied to where they are in the pay range?
Alder Meyer?
I would much rather see it based on performance and not pay range. I would like to see it all be one across the board. Just kind of biting my tongue on this one. I mean, I would like to see the budgetary numbers. I would also like to see what it would look like with meets and exceeds. Same thing across the board. I'm good with not having anything for, since it sounds like we're going to keep the COLA raises. I'm good with the below expectations, not getting anything at all.
So what I'm hearing is we're looking at two scenarios we're wanting more information for. One where meets and exceeds gets merit increases, and then one where there's that flexibility on the meets to just give a bonus instead of a merit increase. Is that what I'm hearing? Alder Lawson?
The only other thing is the cap out, right? If someone really is at the max of their range, there should be something to address that, right?
But maybe that's then, right, maybe that's like a bonus then.
Right, then you
Instead
go,
of-
you default into
right.
the lump sum as
Right.
opposed to an increase.
Right. Alder Reed, did you have anything else to add?
Oh, yeah, I was just leaning away from having the midpoint versus not midpoint. I like the idea of it to bring those below up, but it just seems to complicate things so much.
Does anybody want to keep the midpoint? Okay. Anything else on those two options plus flexibility of bonuses for meets expectations and if you're at the top of your pay range? Anything else anybody wants to add before I make sure that's, you're good? Are
Got
you?
one more question.
Yep.
Me
I
too.
want to make sure that everyone is good with our intent for the 2025 evaluations is to bring you recommendations based on anyone that got 2.5 or higher on their evaluation, and that we will be incorporating SMART goals into everyone's 2026 performance plan.
Oh, I had a question on that. Who gives the final approval on the SMART goals? Because we do SMART goals at my work, and there's some that can be really beefy and some of the easiest SMART goals I've ever seen. So,
Our intent is for Corinna to manage that across departments to ensure that there's consistency. There's gonna be difference, obviously, department heads are gonna have different kind of goals than our frontline staff, but to ensure that there's consistency, you know, from frontline staff to frontline staff in different departments, and that the department heads are equitable in what's being asked and expected of them to meet their goals.
my next question on that then, if merit is based on goals, then is that saying that all the goals will be exceeds or all the goals will be meets with a, with an ability to, like, you know, some side note that says you can exceed by doing this? Because I guess what I want to make sure is that if we're using SMART goals, then they almost all have to be written for exceeds, just for somebody to get a raise, depending on what option we go with. So I think I want to make sure that's clear too.
It's a good point that we probably need to talk through a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk through SMART goals.
Okay. Alder Lawson?
So are we not this year, but going forward, are we really basing their entire rating calculation on the SMART goals, or is there a base set of foundational items in addition to the SMART goals?
Right, like competencies.
There should be a base along with their meeting or exceeding their SMART goals, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'm interjecting here, but I'm guessing this doesn't move forward to council. We're gonna reconvene, clean some of this up, and bring that back at the next meeting.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'd also just like to get a little more information on the SMART goal process and how those are created versus the simple meeting of benchmarks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point, because if somebody doesn't meet their basic competencies, that's what we call them at my work, whatever their basic benchmarks are, then they shouldn't have that opportunity to get an exceed just by getting a SMART goal. So I think we need to make sure that they're actually, because you don't want somebody to do a job that they're not hired to do just to exceed, you know?
Yep.
Alder Rostad.
No, I answered my own.
Okay. Any other, you have a question yet?
Yeah, I have a question and a comment. My comment, next time we come to council, I'm gonna have Corinna go into NeoGov and create a perform template that shows how this would look on that end, so you can see that visually. And then my other question is about the wage scale we created, since this isn't potentially gonna go off of midpoint or any of that. Should we remove the wage scale from this policy?
Alder Meyer.
My opinion is no. Reason being is if we're gonna look at potential bonuses for those who are close or at maximum, I would say right now, and we would leave it and just continue to adjust it as the wage scale changes.
Quick question on that, just like documentation and keeping things clean and you don't have to update 15 different things. Should your pay ranges be in here, or should you reference where the pay ranges are?
We could reference it.
Because then you don't have to update this document too if we do any, or
Yeah.
try to remember this document has it in there.
That'd be
Okay.
nice.
Any other thoughts on that? Okay, so we're good sending this back, Matt, Kendra? You guys are
Good.
good? All right. Number 2, Matt. Don't run away yet.
2 weeks ago, I met with the board of directors for the Columbus Country Club. To those who caught the first iteration of this, I was apparently daydreaming about a previous community I worked in when I wrote this memo. The country club is essentially very supportive of the idea of, they view the addition of pickleball courts as an amenity to not only the park, but to their establishment. They know that they will benefit from the courts being located. We've talked about an extension of their lease. The lease was initially drafted as a 25-year lease. That was 10 years ago. So I've kind of thrown out a 10-year extension would seem to make some sense for the request that they made to extend the lease. And then we would remove the area designated for the pickleball courts from the lease. From there, we need to obviously get the courts designed and out to bid. Rupert Milkie has put a proposal together along with an estimated construction cost, which is north of what I was anticipating a year ago. They're basing this off of a very similar concept that they bid out last year. The reality of the situation is we want to do it right. We want to account for stormwater. We want to make sure that it meets ADA in terms of connecting to adjacent parking areas and all those sort of things. So Amy Jo and I have discussed that we have allocated some funds in last year's CIP. There's $45,000 roughly raised to date from the fundraising effort, and that with the council's intent to move forward on the project, we would put together some sponsorship opportunities from a naming rights for potentially the entire pickleball facility or each of the 4 courts, and see if there is interest in additional financial support which could offset the needed amount for the rest of the project. But, the next step is obviously, if there is interest in moving forward, getting design put together, getting it out to bid. Just because we bid a project doesn't mean it has to be awarded. Obviously, you don't want to get in the habit of doing that, but obviously, we have to have a financing plan in place at the time we would award a bid.
But, but to go to bid, we're looking at $46,000,
To
right?
design the, yep. Now, a portion of that task order is construction oversight as well. So there are breakdowns in there. So obviously, if the project doesn't go to bid, Rupert Milkie isn't gonna bill us for construction oversight on a project that isn't built.
Where does that funding come from for the 46,000?
We have an engineering fund line in our general fund budget that would essentially be charged to.
Okay, so we're not using the donations
No.
that were raised.
I think it's a hard sell to use donated funds
That's what I was
to
getting at,
design
yeah.
a
Yep.
project. You
That's what I was
wanna
trying
put
to
that into the
protect,
implementation
yeah.
and construction costs.
Okay. And then I guess just for, maybe you can't do it, but in the memo, can we lay that out where the funding comes from?
Absolutely.
So then that way,
Yep.
people that don't watch the meeting but read the packet understand where it's coming from.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this? So we're good moving this forward? All right. Number 3, discussion regarding 2026 borrowing. Kendra, it's you again.
I'm at the important table now. All right, so for 2026 and 2027 capital projects, during budget season, you obviously saw the CIP 10-year forecast, and that was all good to go. So we're working with Ellers right now, and we wanted to make it really clear separation between city projects and utility projects when we're doing a resolution for this. So for city projects, we're looking at borrowing, where's my number? $5,332,937, and utility projects, we are looking at $7,239,715.
What this resolution essentially does is it allows us to do the engineering work, start those projects, and at the time of borrowing, this allows us the costs incurred prior to the borrowing to be able to use the borrowed funds to pay back those expenses. So this is kind of putting protection in place as we move forward on those projects. Kendra's working with Ellers on bringing forward borrowing. I think the schedule for that is in March, where they would come and do their, the typical package and where they go out and put the general obligation and the revenue bonds out.
Any questions? Good moving this forward. All right. Look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a first from Alder Wilkie, a second from Alder Meyer. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Do you guys need a minute or just keep rolling? All right. Oh, my microphone wasn't on. Sorry. I'm loud enough, so I'm sure you heard me. All right, so welcome everybody to tonight's Common Council meeting. It's Tuesday, January 20th at 7:14 PM. Can I get a roll call?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer is excused. Lawson.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Relke.
Here.
Rostad.
Here.
All right, pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ouch. All right.
I acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Did you hit your head? Oh. All right, I will look for the approval for tonight's agenda with removal of number 3.
So move.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, any public comment? All right, department reports for file. the CA EMS 1225, CED 1225, Fire 1025, 1125, and 1225, Library 1225, Police 1225, and Recreation 1225. Consent agenda, Committee of the Whole, and Common Council meeting minutes. Look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a first by Alder Meyer and a second by Alder Rostad. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. All right, skipping number 3, let's go to number 4. Consider and take possible action on task order 2026-01 with Rupert Milky for trail design in an amount not to exceed $17,585, and this was from Public Spaces meeting on January 12th of 2026. And I was reading that, so I don't know who went first.
I'll move to approve the task order 2025-01 with Rupert Milky for trail design in an amount not to exceed $17,585.
Second.
Any discussion? Alder Rostad?
Assuming funding is the same line item. Thank you.
Alder Lawson?
Yeah, so under number 4A, there's an item that says development of property legal descriptions or easement documents. But we actually do have them preparing a legal description in D. So I think we should just add something that's other than identified above there.
I can add, I had a recommended motion on the memo on this one. That it basically asks to approve the task order with following changes under 4A. The second bullet should read, development of property, legal descriptions, or easement documents beyond those listed in the scope above.
Would you like to amend your motion?
Sure.
A re-second.
All right, we have a first. All in favor?
Do we need?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait, we're spending money, roll call. Thank you.
Reed,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Rostad,
Aye.
Finkler,
Aye.
Relke.
Aye.
Well, sorry, I wasn't sure.
Did you give me such a look?
Ayes have it.
Oh, yeah, but I still vote, yeah, okay. Okay, number 5, consider and take possible action on task order 2026-02 with Rupert Milky for pickleball court design in amount not to exceed $46,331.
I'll move to approve task order 2026-02, not to exceed $46,331.
Second.
All right, we have a first and second, any discussion? Roll call.
Finkler,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Relke,
Aye.
Rostad.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
All right. Number 6, consider and take action on Resolution 2-26, resolution declaring official intent to reimburse expenditures from proceeds of borrowing in the city of Columbus, Wisconsin from C.O.W. of 1/20 of 26.
Motion to approve resolution 2-26.
Second.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any discussion? Is this a roll call? I don't think so, because we're not spending money. Yeah. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, consider and take action on Resolution 3-26, resolution declaring official intent to reimburse expenditures from proceeds of borrowing in the city of Columbus, Wisconsin, utilities from C.O.W. of 1/20/26.
Motion to approve resolution 3-26.
Second.
All right, we got first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, next, consider and take action on claims in the amount of $3,013,943.54.
I will move to approve the claims in the amount of $3,013,943.54.
Second.
All right, we got first and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Relke.
Aye.
Rostad.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, next, report of city officers. Matt?
Just want to highlight two things. There are two public information meetings scheduled for next Tuesday. The first one is at 3:30. There are two public information meetings next Tuesday, January 27th. The first is being held here at 3:30. This is a DOT grant-funded project to resurface a portion of Tower Drive from Faith Drive to County K. Because of the DOT process, Fair Graham is our engineering consultant on this project. They will be here. It's unique in that I don't believe there are any city residents who have their address on Tower Drive in this section, but the DOT requires a 3-hour public information meeting for the project. So they will be on hand from 3:30 to 6:30. There will be a general overview given at 3:30, and after that, it'll be open house format. Later on that evening at 6:30 p.m. at Columbus High School, we will have our consultant team that is working on the public safety building, as well as city staff representatives available in an open house format. The idea behind this is there is a home high school boys basketball game that night, and our intent is to not have a formal sit-down public information meeting, but try and engage with people. There's going to be 3 or 4 different display areas to get people's quick reactions, kind of share with them where we're at in the project, and hopefully get feedback on what people like, don't like. There's going to be some quick dot exercises and some opportunity to give feedback on some cards. So that we're still working through finalizing that, but I'm excited about that. We've had our core team working on the initial design process. We've toured some other facilities, and the effort continues to move forward there on the design for the future public safety building. Really encourage people to come out and, if available, and we're also hoping to engage with people who maybe wouldn't necessarily come to a public input meeting by being at the high school during a busy event. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, and the mayor is not here, so next we'll move on to a couple closed sessions. So first, we will convene to closed session per 19-851C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically the salary ranges for the police department administrative manager, community center manager, and public works director.
So moved.
Wait, can I just read both? Okay. And then we're going to also convene to close session per 19-851G to confer with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or likely to become involved regarding a former employee. Now, I will look for a motion.
So move again.
I will second with the ask that Police Chief Weiner and Amy Jo Myers are invited to the closed session, and HR and Kendra
For the first one,
for the first one, correct?
and then
For
HR.
HR for the second one as well, correct?
Okay. All right, so we have a first, yeah, and Kendra, yep. We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Okay. Roll call.
Rostad.
Aye.
Reed. Aye. Finkler.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Relke.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 6-0.
We will not be returning to open session.